Before we get to the mailbag, I am adapting sad tweet this week to foolish Facebook post of the week, and I am awarding the honor to Super Schmuck Billy Graham, who on his Facebook page this week went off like a bomb on Ronda Rousey, or Ronda Lousy, as he calls her. Very creative, very clever. He apparently takes issue with Ronda using Roddy Piper's name and his gimmick. He called it a total insult. I'll read some of this here for you. It's a total insult, and it absolutely reveals that she does not have an original thought in her head. This shows you how shallow she is. And by the way, I am a fan of females being in the main event. That is why I put up this photo of Amanda Nunes kicking her ass in 48 seconds. She looked pitiful. A TKO in 48 seconds on December 30th, 2016 by Nunes, a real fighter, and Rousey, just a jobber. Speaking of jobbers, I read today a quote by Meltzer that shook me to the core. There was a rumor going around by WWE officials prior to WrestleMania 34 that Rousey was going to make Triple H tap out to her armbar finisher instead of Stephanie McMahon. What? Miss Lousy was going to make Triple H tap out? This would have been as well received as a cement truck full of pig shit being dumped on the WrestleMania fans. God, folks, what is WWE thinking? Ronda Rousey is not a god of some kind, but a mere female UFC failure that got her flat ass kicked twice on the way out. Now this is nauseating. I demand that you fans respond to this crap that WWE is trying to lay on you by even thinking about her making Triple H tap out. God, this makes me sick. To help you get over your urge to vomit over this news, please click on the link below. It is a 60-second promo by me from Florida, and please tell me if anyone in WWE today can match my short promo. Unscripted and loaded. So all that just as an excuse to put himself over at the end. I apologize for wasting all of your time here. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. First of all, Ronda Rousey called Roddy Piper on the phone personally before she even had her first amateur MMA fight. She called him and she asked for permission to use the Rowdy name because she was a huge fan of his. He was an inspiration to her. She asked his permission, Roddy gave his blessing. Roddy's own son, his son Colt, flew to the Royal Rumble this year with his father's jacket to give to Ronda Rousey, who wore it out for her debut. That's why the jacket looked like it was 5 sizes too big. It looked like she was wearing her father's coat because it wasn't hers. It actually legitimately was Roddy Piper's leather jacket that he used to wear. And his son brought it to the Rumble to give to Ronda. Now, to be fair, he did not know why he was bringing the jacket when he did. What happened was he was called by WWE, and WWE said to him, look, can you bring the jacket with you to the Rumble? He knew it had something to do with Rousey. He thought maybe it was a photo shoot or something, but they didn't tell him why he was bringing the jacket, because they were keeping the Ronda thing so secretive. They didn't want news to leak that she was going to be there. That's why Ronda, and I never bought into it, but leading up to it, she was like, oh, I'm in Colombia, I'm filming for a movie, I'm not going to be there, and then she was. So Roddy's son didn't know what the jacket was going to be used for when he got there, but when he found out, he was okay with it, and he lent it to her, and he thought it was this great honor. That Ronda was going to wear her, his father's jacket out for her debut. So the point is that Roddy and the family are fully behind her. She, got permission for it, and she was a big fan of Piper's work, as he was of hers. And so, the other stuff, he's entitled to his opinion. But that old man yells at cloud meme was made specifically for Billy Graham. This is the same guy who once wished death on Chris Jericho and hoped that his death would come soon, and that he wished that he could use a pair of pliers to cut his tongue in half and watch him bleed to death on his own blood. That's his exact words. Bleed to death on his own blood. That's like Owen Hart kicking Bret's leg out of his leg. It's been a while since we've had a good Super Schmuck story. I used to talk about him a lot. I mean, look, you can't deny the influence that this guy has had on a lot of big names in the wrestling business. Billy Graham was a big draw back in the day, probably didn't have nearly enough time on top as the champion. And his influence on people like Hulk Hogan, and even Dusty Rhodes and other people, and the way he did his promos and everything, he was ahead of his time. Absolutely. Deserves all the credit in the world for that. He was a big name. But the guy is about 15 fries short of a Happy Meal.